All righty, guys. We appreciate y'all being here this morning and are glad to get going here. Want to start out the way that we typically do with wins, just good things going on in y'all's lives, things you're excited about, looking forward to, just to get that positive momentum. I know we talk about this week in, week out, but some good things happening across the board. I know that for me, one of my guys that I'm working with, Elias out in Arizona, he's been booking a lot of new construction bids. Typically, we're really big on staying on the service side because that supports your cash flow really well. But he's been booked out for I think 2 months now, and a lot of that's just with those new construction bids. So good wins for him. But want to open it up for the rest of y'all and see what wins we have out there, what good things are going on.
Well, I can go first. We were just awarded a bid to remodel several apartment in this complex that we have. So they're kind of a repeat customer. We were kind of just doing a little bit of work for them. They were happy with us. We submitted the bid, did everything like we were supposed to, and we were awarded the bids. We have seven of those. They actually started today on those, so pretty happy about that.
Yeah,
nice.
Awesome, Jason.
There you go, Jason. Football season's here. That's a win. Come on.
Go Chiefs.
You're disgusting.
I know. Unashamedly.
Yeah. We all know that Chiefs fans are unashamed. You guys have made that abundantly clear.
I got a win.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So it's kind of a weird win, but you know, we just switched our CRM over to Housecall Pro after being on a different one since we started, so 7 years. And in the middle of all that, really trying to refine our sales process for inbound leads, lead management, CSR. But making that switch really kind of helped me to see how little work our CSR actually required and was doing. So it really helped me in my decision-making process to let go of that person. And right now, until, you know, we get enough incoming, we're taking that income back for now and managing that between me and my wife until we see that that amount of work really is going to require somebody that's full-time to do that. So, you know, I didn't realize how many dollars I was wasting at a very relatively simple job right now. So I call that a win.
Yeah,
because
that's
it's,
huge.
you know, yeah, yep. So,
I mean,
and just having the right
thousands.
software.
Yeah, thousands in savings per month combined with the efficiencies that I really believe that Housecall Pro brings. I mean, when it comes to software and service businesses, there's like two companies. Like I've gotten to a point where, you know, people ask me opinions on it, and it's Housecall Pro and Service Titan. And honestly, Service Titan is 10 times the price of Housecall Pro. And Housecall Pro just over the years has become nearly just like Service Titan's having to work really, really hard to develop new features to stay ahead of Housecall Pro.
Yep.
And so like I work with Upfront Plumbing, Drains, Heating and Air in Utah. I mean, they're running, I think 14 trucks right now. Housecall Pro. They're not going to go to Service Titan.
Yeah, another win would be we're on Profit Rhino. We have been for about a month, but we're really starting to sit in. And this week I started implementing a today price, and don't know why we just didn't think of it before, but that's already helped us win a couple this week. So
you want to explain what a today price is?
Yeah, so basically just offering a discount for doing the work today instead of coming back to do it, or, because we lose out so much time on coming back, because we've got all the time while we're already there. So I think we lose on average 2 to 2.5 hours coming back, somewhere in that range. So
Dude, that's so good, Jordan.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Redmond Growth does like a today price. I don't know if that was offered to any of you guys. That's kind of a newer thing for us, but we call it like a 24-hour discount, where we tell people, hey, if you make a decision the next 24 hours, we'll give you a discount in your first month.
We actually have it labeled as do it today on one of their options. They have a standard price they can see, and then a do it today price.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Do it today discount. There's a kind of a ring to that too. And here's my opinion on that is, humans sometimes just need a structure for decision making. And a lot of times doing something like that, and you can literally do this for any business, contractors, construction businesses, service businesses, you can do a version of this. And what it allows you to do is put a structure into the sales process that will cause the customer to make the decision they were going to make anyway. Typically, that's what it does. But what it does for you is it saves on having to follow up with the customer. In Jordan's case, it's saving on driving a guy's rear end back, 2 hours to town, only to go there 3 days later, maybe. It delays the sales cycle, it delays cash flow. So it doing that solves all those problems. Even in our remodeling business, the one I've got in Seattle, we've started to do a version of this on our estimates, where we tell people, hey, if you can sign a deposit by this day, it's $1,000. And these are like, 80,000, 150,000, we're doing a really big, like $400,000 home edition right now. But if you sign and make your deposit just $1,000 by this day, we'll give you a discount. I don't know if he's here, but Ryan Parent actually is a remodeler who recently did this. He had about 150,000 in bids for one customer that he did, and he offered a 5% discount. He runs a pretty profitable business, and so 5% is turning like a 35% net profit to a 30% net profit. Still a great net profit, right? And so think about ways to structure your sales process to help people make decisions that they were already going to make in the beginning. They were either going to go with you, there's just a delay there, they just whatever, or they weren't. And then now you're not wasting time. So really good stuff, Jordan. Any other wins before we kind of move on here? Who do we got here today? Let me see the rest of the list. Oh, Laura Pierce, she's here. Laura also, Jordan, owns an electrical company in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, and she just got on with Profit Rhino too. Yeah,
they're gonna love it.
You hear that, Laura? Are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's
Jordan,
no problem.
Jordan is saying there. So Laura Pierce and her brother own, is it just Pierce Electric?
It was originally Pierce Electric in 1933, and the company
Right.
name has changed a little bit. So we are still identified as Pierce Electric.
Okay. So they've been around since 1933. That's pretty insane. And really, for the first time ever in nearly 100 years of being a business, we're helping them open a service department. And they're using Profit Rhino. So that's really good. Thanks for sharing that, Laura.
I love this idea of the today price, because I've had a couple leads that have come in where I could tell, they're still in the shopping phase of, through the script that you gave us. So you can tell that they're just, trying to figure out where they want to be. And I think that's a great idea, especially if you've got a guy sitting around the shop, or, somebody that's ready to go to work. What kind of discount are you offering? I mean, that's, is
Great
it a
question.
percentage, or what is the treat that you're dangling in front of them?
So we're offering a 10% because Profit Rhino, when you get set up with them, you basically have your value rate. It's essentially our value rate in Profit Rhino, but you can relabel those rates. And at first I thought we wanted to do a bundled rate, but I'm just finding that, we could use it for that too. But basically the rate's set up so even if you offer the 10%, you're still not dropping below your break-even point.
Okay.
And you're still being profitable. So you can still feel good about you guys offering the do it today price, and you're still gonna make a profit when they're doing the work. So yeah, and Housecall Pro has a add-on with Profit Rhino, but because we were on with Profit Rhino first, I looked at it really heavily and really compared the two. And there's just so many features that Housecall Pro is still missing with their presentation and the pricing and that kind of stuff, even with the add-on, that we decided to stay with Profit Rhino just so we can keep the price boards or the option boards. And there's a whole slew I won't go into, but we decided to cancel the add-on and use Profit Rhino solely for pricing and presentation, and then, use Housecall Pro for everything else.
Yeah, the same. So we have been in Housecall Pro for a little over a month now, and I can't say enough good about it. I mean, it's really streamlines and makes everything so simple, and dare I say even fun, at least coming from a system of, we used to utilize Excel spreadsheets and write job tags by hand, and, way old school. So it's pretty exciting to see how efficient it's helping us become. And Profit Rhino, we've signed up there. We're easing into it. It's still trying to trust that the numbers that are in there are good. I mean, my dad always loved to tell the story about when he bought the first estimating software back in the 80s on an IBM computer, and my grandfather would sit at the calculator with the estimate he printed out and added it up because he didn't trust that the software was accurate.
Have
So
you
it's
guys
kind of that.
done their break-even tool? Have you gotten that from them?
You mean where? I'm not sure if I understand the breakdown.
From Patient Rhino, from Profit Rhino.
Yeah,
right,
Profit
Brendan?
Rhino. So if you haven't, reach out to them and get their break-even tool, because I literally spent an entire day going through my books, taking all the numbers, averaging things out, figuring out what our tech burden is, figuring out what our overhead burdens are. And they have a complete tool with instructions that they can provide to you. And it's amazing. So when I got finished punching all that in, when we got our break-even rate, it also gives you different options for what you want to make on profit, whether it's 15%, 20, 25, or 30. It'll tell you what to set your rate at if you want to stay profitable with that. So once I got mine set up and did that, I have every confidence now that if they follow that price book, even if they do add-ons, that we're not going to be losing out, that we're still going to make something. So I think I would recommend you do that. It will make a huge difference in your confidence in that, I think.
Okay, cool. And you call that the break-even tool?
Yes, reach out to them and they'll provide you a PDF.
I thought, yeah, I thought that was like a standard part of the setup of Profit Rhino. I'm surprised, Laura, to hear that you didn't.
I had to ask for it because they mentioned it, but nobody had provided it. And I just asked them, hey, do you have instructions on how to get that break even? And then they responded with the break even tool. And one issue I had was the first one that was sent to me. It's supposed to be fillable and auto calculate, and it wasn't doing that. So I reached out support and they gave me an updated version that was actually working. So if, it should change the numbers as you're filling each of the sections in. So just pay attention to that.
Very good. Thank you. That's exciting because we've been very apprehensive of it, but that,
You won't be once you do that.
okay.
I promise,
Jordan,
because you're using real numbers.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And then, I'm sure you'll understand it's the time to sit down and go through it. It's just, that's been a challenge too. So Jordan, I wanted to ask one last question. Did you guys onboard the Ply software, the inventory module?
We haven't done the inventory because we're not currently doing that yet, but at some point we probably will.
Okay. Yeah, we went ahead and purchased it. So we're working towards getting the catalog set up for all the, scanning the barcodes and getting that implemented as well. And then the other last bit that and hopefully other contractors on the call might have some input on this, is what is everybody doing for the GPS tracking and that technology? Are you having the onboard cameras facing your driver, or are you doing any of that? Curious of feedback. And if you are, what is the insurance companies doing to reward you? Because that's the carrot that Verizon is the last sales call I had. Their software said, oh yeah, your insurance will give you a huge discount for having these cameras. And I don't want a camera on me while I'm driving around. I don't feel like imposing that on my guys either. But if I save thousands of dollars per year on a premium, then maybe it's worth it.
I've already reached out to our insurance companies to ask those questions, and they've pretty much told me, unless it's a personal insurance policy, most commercial insurances won't provide any discount for that. I wish they would. You could still reach out, but I just know that is a question I've already asked, and the answer is no. However, I will say, yeah, nobody wants a camera on them, but we've had an issue with one of ours that got excluded from our insurance policy due to bad driving habits. And so, I think that accountability is good. And I honestly think you need to do it for risk management, because when you've got trucks driving all over the city, insurance companies are getting to where they won't manage your risk for you. You have to do that. Yeah. So if there's no video proof of what happened, most insurance companies getting to the point now where they just basically no claim each side, or not no claim, but they no fault each side, and you each use your own insurance a lot of times, unless you have that proof. So we are going to be adding that for ours just for that sake. And I think having that information is helpful, to explain to your guys, we're not doing this just to micromanage you. Like, we're also doing this for your benefit, because there are times where they can get in a wreck and it can look bad on them unless they actually have that video. And in Tennessee, we can get points on a driver's record just for being involved in an accident unless we can prove we weren't at fault. So I think that's important. Yeah,
exactly. Great. Okay. Thank you all for sharing good information. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Dale Arnold mentioned that it was the Profit, or the break-even tool, was a part of the setup when he got on it, and that's was my understanding as well. And that's a crucial process, whether or not you're using Profit Rhino, to know in your business, and that's something that we can help you find out. The beautiful thing about this tool for this particular software is once you enter in all the numbers, really all you have to do is change the percentage net profit that you want to make, and it will update all your pricing. So again, highly recommend it for all service businesses. And it's something that is very important for remodel companies, construction companies to do as well. A lot of times in estimates, folks aren't accounting for real important expenses that aren't always directly related to a job that affect their profitability in a big way. That's the main thing. In that, if you guys have used that estimate tool that we have, it's a fairly straightforward, simple tool, but what it is designed to do is it's designed to make sure that you are truly charging a right price. For example, if you want to make a 20% net profit on all your jobs, what most people do is they add up all their expenses. They may even add up their overhead costs, right? And then they multiply that by 0.2 and add that number to the estimate, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? How many of you guys have done that? Yeah, I'm seeing some heads shake. So if you do that, you're not going to be making a 20% net profit. You'll be making a 16%. The reason why, and this is sometimes, I'm still trying to learn how to explain this the best way, so bear with me. The reason why is because you're charging your profit, you're adding your profit based upon 20% of all your expenses, which doesn't mean you'll make 20% because your total price won't cover 20%. It'll just cover 20% of the total expenses. What you want to make sure to do if you wanted to make a 20% net profit is make sure that all your expenses and overhead is only 80% of the total, right? So that's what the estimate tool does. If I lost you guys there, your coaches can help you with that estimate tool. But if you are adding up your expenses, multiplying it by a percentage, and then adding that percentage that you multiplied to the estimate, you're not making what you think you're making. You've got to make sure that your total expenses are only, oh, I see some questions are coming in, are only 80%, 70%, whatever you want that to be of the total price you charge the customer. Clayton, you were first, buddy.
So I actually went over this with a banker the other day, and the banker didn't understand it. The exact same thing you're saying.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that a banker doesn't understand how to do construction work and business.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
that dude just sits there and evaluates risk all day and says yes or no on loans. That dude doesn't know anything.
Yeah. So I explained.
No offense to that dude. If he's like a good friend of yours, I have a lot of bankers that are friends. I love these guys. Just to be clear. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know the guy, but I was trying to explain it in the same way you was, because I was having to put in my profit tool a 4% over market. They were wanting a 15% or a 10% contingency built into the plan, and I was explaining to him that I have to do 14% to make it match a 10% contingency on their end. And they were like, "What are you talking about? No, it needs to be 10." I was like, and I tried to explain to him the same thing that you're explaining, and he was completely lost.
Yeah. One way that you can do it real easily is after you find out what that net profit is you want to make, what that amount is, divide that amount, let me think how to explain this. Whenever you find out what your total net profit amount is that you want to charge, if you to take the total price, the expenses plus the net profit, and divide it by the net profit amount, you'll see the real percentage. You'll see that it's only, however, 14, 16, whatever, 17%, not the 20% that you anticipated. So yeah, that's usually, I have to demonstrate it to people in order to get them to understand. Would that be helpful for you guys if I just demonstrated that right now?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some head shake. So let's go ahead and do this. So I first of all want to show you guys the tool that we have that explains this, right? Some of you guys may be at different spots in your path with us. I don't want to deviate from that path, but I would really recommend that everyone checks this out, because this is probably one of the most important documents that my team and I have ever put together. Let me share my screen here. So this is what we call like one of our box cars, right? It's one of our core systems. We have about 100 and how many, Bryce? 107, 115, something like that, of these kinds of systems for every area of your business, right? Your marketing, your branding, your sales, your operations, your management, your leadership. And this is one that's for your finances, right? So let's see here. Here we have, how to explain like estimates and a cost plus to customers. Then it's like things that you got to be sure that you actually like steps to follow to create an estimate, right? So again, this is the ultimate finance rules and super moves boxcar. And right here, number 7, this is where it begins to explain how to actually do this right. So again, if I were to do, let's pull up a calculator. So let's say like my expenses on a job were $10,000, right? $10,000. And I wanted to make like, I want to be like, well, I want to make a 20% net profit. So I charge 2,000, right? So 2,000, right, is 20% of 10,000. You guys with me?
Yep.
So that would make my total 12,000, right? So I'd give the estimate to the customer, 12,000 bucks. Well, when I divide 12,000 by 2,000, whoops, other way around. When I divide 2,000 by 12,000, it's 16%. It's not 20%. So if I charge a $2,000, if I have $10,000 of net of expenses, and I'm adding my overhead, I'm adding everything to that, and then I multiply that by 0.2. Okay, well that's 2,000, 20%, and then I add that. That 2,000 isn't 20%. 2,000 is only 16% of 12,000. Okay, you guys kind of seeing the mistake that can be made here? So again, like, oh, it's just 4%. Well, a 4%, let's say you want to make a 20% net profit for a year. If you're charging your estimates wrong by 4% for the year, you're going to reduce your annual net profits by nearly 25%. That's tens of thousands of dollars for most of you, right? This is a mistake that people make all the time, and they look at their P&L and they think, why is my estimates wrong? I've been charging 20% this whole time. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You haven't been charging 20%. You've been charging 15, 16, that kind of thing. So what do you do to avoid that? You follow this formula right here, which is built into our easy estimate tool, right? It's already built in there to always do this right. But if you wanted the true percentage to make that 20%, you need to divide your expense total by the expense margin you want to maintain. So the example that I did, the expense margin I want to maintain is 80%. I only want 80% of what I charge the customer to go to expenses so I can make 20%, right? In order to make a true 20%, you'd have to divide the expense number by the margin that you want that expense number to maintain. So let's do this example. So I want the $10,000 that I charge, or the $10,000 that I have in expenses, the $10,000 I have in expenses on this job, I want that to only be 80% of what I charge the customer so that I can make 20%. So what we would do here is we would divide $10,000 by 80%, and that's the price we charge the customer. Not 12,000, 12,500. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then if we have, $10,000 divided by 12,500, that equals 80%, which means we have the true margin that we want to make left over. That making a little bit more sense to everybody? Thank you, Jordan. I think that was the first time I like broke this down in a group call. I know our coaches have talked about it, but it's right here. If anyone wants this document, if you want to just like message in the chat, like send this to me.
Well,
And then
I think an easier way, Robert, we can just share the link in the chat and then show them how to make a copy for themselves.
oh yeah.
So I just shared the link.
Thank you.
Do you want to show
So
how to make a copy?
yeah, so if you want to make a copy for yourself that you can edit, markup, whatever, Bryce put that link in the chat. You just go to File, Make a Copy. That's all you do. File, Make a Copy. File, Make a Copy. You don't want to go File on your Chrome like settings. There's no Make a Copy there. File on the Google Docs settings. Make a copy.
Robert, one question that I get asked a lot by clients that I think I would love for you to kind of go over is, what if they are estimating, like before they start the job, they're using this, they're feeling really, really good about it, but then at the end of the job, they're like not seeing the margins that they were supposed to pull. What are some like common things that we see happening that could cause that?
I don't know. I was hoping you knew that one.
I was thinking change orders.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's a few things of what that is that most often I find is a project management problem. Now, it can be an estimating problem, right? That's probably like the lowest hanging fruit thing to look at. So it could be that you just weren't accurate in what you thought was going to be the labor amount. Or you run into a snag. Oh, we've got some great hands raising here. Or you run into a snag on the job and you realize it's going to require more work than you anticipate. But before the job started, you didn't explain to the customer that, hey, sometimes we open up walls, run into new problems we don't realize. Sometimes we get the project started. You want to change something. We have a change order process. That happens all the time. It happened in my remodeling business, and I had to get almost violent with my business partner, Tyler, who's like one of my closest friends. He just asked me to officiate his wedding, actually. But I had to be like, dude, we are losing a lot of money because we're just not charging an effing change order fee, and we're not following the change order process. Now we do, right? And now we stay profitable. But I consider the change order process as a project management problem as well. So it's management of the guys. We've actually begun to run in Power Builders, my remodeling company, a new project management process where every week we identify, hey, on all our projects last week, what was accomplished? Where are all our guys going this week? We build out a schedule. It takes like an hour. Where are all our guys going? What are they doing? What do they need to do on each project? What materials do we need? And then we manage the week after that meeting. So it's typically a project management problem, but sometimes it can just be getting the groove of learning, oh, this demo that I thought was going to take, 14 man hours actually takes 20, right? Like that's a more accurate way of estimating. Or it should take 14, but the job just isn't being managed real effectively. Guys are showing up whenever, they're going to the Porta-John like 10 times a day. Like these are real things that happen that affect your profits at the end of the day. So Jason, you haven't been able to speak yet.
Yeah, so that's talking with Nicole, that's kind of my issue is the employees taking longer than what we've bid it for. So I mean, that eats up your profit terrible. So we kind of designed our own little spreadsheet of saying, here's what the estimate says for hours. And over here, we have our guys saying how many hours each person took. And we've had, an employee that's just dogging it more than others, taking longer time. So I've sat down with them. I've given them the written warning, working with Nicole and stuff. And, but yeah, that's the thing is we kind of had to design our own little spreadsheet on each estimate that we did, kind of breaking it all down of why aren't we making money on this? Because we're bidding 20 hours, but it's taking them 27, 28 hours and trying to put some accountability on those workers. And that's what it is. They're taking too many smoke breaks. They're leaving the job to gather supplies or whatever. So we're trying to clean that all up right now. And
yeah, that's a huge thing, that gathering supplies. Just again, like Gallup did a study. it was a while ago. It was almost 10 years ago now, back in 2015. So I think especially after the launch of TikTok, things have gotten a lot worse. But back in 2015, they did a study and they found that 70% of employees in the American workforce are disengaged in their jobs. And like 35% of the 70% are like disengaged at another level. And that level of disengagement, how they defined that was that they come to work literally with a mindset, and a lot of times people don't even realize this, but with a mindset of they're literally looking to do anything else but the job.
Right.
So like this is a real problem that's been studied, right? It's not that, you know, your guys just like don't have respect for you. It's not that there's like this huge wrong problem with like your company. It's just the American workforce at large, the vast majority is disengaged. And so how do you bring that level of engagement? You do the things, Jason, that you're doing. I remember we had to write, you know, we had to develop a write-up policy and process for the same kind of thing. Like you're in Wyoming, my remodeling company is in Seattle. Same thing, you know? And so it can eat up so much time. This is why having a really strong foreman or project supervisor is important. Almost like a right-hand man type of guy, like a guy who's really committed to your organization and you share benefits with. I'll give you an example. And I don't mean to keep on bringing up my own experience, but it's what I have to offer, right? We just offered our foreman a $100,000 base salary with commission. And, you know, in Seattle, that's not maybe as much as it would be in Wyoming, you know? But the reason why we offered him that was because he has grown and developed with us so well, and he's so committed to our future. And he's that guy I can sit in a meeting with and set a expectation of what needs to be done and who needs to go where for that week. And he can manage that for me. I have confidence in that. It's really hard to do that when you're just a business owner. There is a season in business during your growth where that's just on you. You know, you're still growing. You're getting your margins right. You're getting more cash in the door, right? But I think a good place to start would be, even if it's on you, to develop a schedule and a clear, hey, what needs to be done by when on a weekly basis. Takes an hour, just something simple. Luca, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Just a few comments on that. I had that same problem, and I did the same thing that Robert did. I hired a foreman who I pay very well, and he does a lot to make sure that everyone stays on track and keeps on the project, keeps everything moving forward. But the question I had, I do feel like there's a lot of time that my guys spend gathering materials above and beyond, you know, the big stuff that you have when you get your lumber package or whatever, when you're starting a new job. Just those, especially on remodels. I mean, new construction, not so much, but on remodels, the guys are constantly having to go to Home Depot all the time. And it's like, man, if I look at the amount of hours they spend going to Home Depot on every job, it's like, I'm not accounting for all of that. Is there something that you do? Do you just you just account for it now? You just add that into your margin when you're bidding the job? Or?
So like at a first level, that is something I would say to do as you're learning to manage that process better. The reason why I would say that is because just immediately you need to cover that time. And that just initially can be the way that you manage things, because that's going to at least cover you in the short term. What we've begun to do is we've begun to get to carry a larger inventory on those like low cost but really common items that we're going to use on every job. right? Things like, rolls of tape, things like caulk, things like different kinds of like nails and screws and batteries. And so we've just begun to carry an inventory so that it minimizes the number of trips to Home Depot. However, Luca, by following a process that we're talking about, where you're identifying, okay, who's going to be on what job this week and what needs to be done on that job, right? Like I would encourage you just to, like right now for me, it's 3 people in the meeting, right? Just 3 people. If that was just you and your foreman, that's okay. But here, let me just show you guys this.
Do you have a supply house, or are these things just stocked in the vehicles, in your company vehicles?
I would just stock them in the vehicles. I don't know if you have like a main truck that you or any of your guys use.
Yeah, we do.
Or even like a garage, a storage unit, places like that. But that's not the end all be all solution. That will help by just looking at, okay, what are things that we use on every job, and building up an inventory on those things that could last you probably a month at a time, right? But there needs to be a deeper level of management in order to really do that well. And that's what I want to show you here. Okay, so look familiar, right? It's pretty similar to the same kind of agenda we run with you guys as coaches. What we do is, so we have wins, burning fires, right? And then we review our projects. So we currently have 4 projects going right now. And we review, what did we accomplish last week? Like we're just asking ourselves in our company, what did we do last week? Pretty simple. We have every project and and here's what I do. I literally just make sure nothing gets missed. So like a lot of times people, we're talking through this. I'm talking to, my partner, Tyler, I'm talking to Don, our like head foreman, and he'll like start talking. And then like this last week, he like randomly in the middle of the meeting was like, "Hey, Robert, are you into guns?" And I'm like, I don't know where people stand on that. I'm into guns, right? I live in Oklahoma. I like cowboy stuff. Like I'm part of a gun club. And so that would be very easy to like derail a meeting, right? And what do I do? Because it's like something I want to talk about. And I kind of feel like he knows I want to talk about it. He just wanted me to show his new pistol that he decked out. And so anyway, he like gets distracted with something else. And I'm like, okay, anyway, what did we do with Diane Bonds last week? And I just go back. I just make sure there's not a single thing missed. That's my role. I don't really know a lot about construction, to be candid, but I know a lot about management and process. And that's my role in this. It's just, I'm going to be the guy that makes sure our company follows a process. Then we go through and we do a current project status and trajectory. So, we have each project we're on, the kind of project it is. And I ask, okay, what percentage of a completion are we at after this last week? How close are we to being done? And that's just a guess, right? That's just like an estimate. So, this last week, okay, this Layla project, this is a 3rd-story home addition. We're basically building a house on top of a house in downtown Seattle, Madison Park. And so we've been on the project for 6 months. We've got 2 months left. Then I identify, okay, what remaining bid tasks do we have, right? And then I go to the next project, percentage complete, what remaining bid tasks, we go to the next one, next one.
And how does this help you get your Home Depot list? Kind of.
Well, this is the next part is going to help me get my Home Depot list, right?
Okay.
I'm just reviewing the entire meeting process just for the sake of reviewing it, and I think it might be helpful. This is where I can begin to prep the materials list. Is when I go into, okay, for each one of my guys, what is this week's plan and schedule?
Uh,
Right. So we have every job that Don's going to be at this week, what he's going to do when, right? And then our other 2 guys, we had 5 guys. We had to let go 2 of them. But then Paul and Tristan, they're going to be on Diane Bond's bathroom model all week. And then we are able to say, okay, what do we need to give them in order for them to do all those things this week? And now that's not going to ever completely eliminate, like, just in the world of construction, you can be the best planner and things just aren't going to always go to plan, right? We're not trying to get this 100% perfect because it just will never happen. But we are trying to build guardrails around common things that take up a lot of time in order to reduce the amount of time it takes. And this is one way to do that.
so this is a weekly meeting that you have, like every Friday, say, or at like 4 or
Every
something?
Monday.
Every
Every Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see when it's at.
And Luca, one comment that Brandon put in the chat that I find extremely helpful is that he makes it standard that the crew lead, so whoever is like on the project at the end of each day has to report to, whether it's the owner or the project manager, whoever's going to be ordering materials, they have to let them know before they leave the job site at the end of each day what they're anticipating needing for the rest of the week, you know, so that that project manager is not like same day scrambling. They have it part of their daily checklist, their daily duties before you leave the job site, before you call it a day. You have to report to blank what you need. And then it just causes it to not be so last minute.
Yeah, Lucas, something that you could do, like, this is a process, and it's one I highly recommend for every business, like the team meeting. It's part of like our creating a cadence in a business. But dude, you could make a lot of progress on this problem by just asking your guys at the end of every day, like texting them and asking them what was done today, what's going to be done tomorrow, what do we need?
Yeah. I recently gave my 4-minute iPad, and I'm wondering maybe I'll have him do a shared Google Doc where he can just type in information right at the job site, and then that will show up on my end, because we don't really meet at a shop every day. The guys are usually just going straight to the job site, which is efficient, but also, yeah, it doesn't give them time to get to the shop and pick up materials or whatever they might need for that day. But if they have it in a Google Doc, then maybe I can make sure that they have everything they need.
Yeah, I'm really big on like starting small, like the team meeting thing. If you've never done that before, like that's kind of like a thing that takes some time to get into a real good groove of that.
Yeah.
Really recommend to do that, but just, you know, it's not going to start off ever like anything in life with like 100% perfect execution. But if you can take small steps, it makes a big impact. A small steps is just by asking people, hey, what do we do today? What's the plan for tomorrow? What do we need for that plan?
Mm-hmm.
And then you send a guy to Home Depot, or you, even better yet, are the guy that goes to Home Depot, picks up everything that they need. You know, you may not have time to do that. That's okay. You can send a guy, but you get the list and now they're set for the day.
Okay, that's very good information. Thank you.
Yeah. Jordan, what's up, buddy? Oh man, you're muted.
I was going to say, I've been doing material takeoff on all my larger projects. And lately what I've been doing is just going ahead and doing an order based off that material takeoff, and just making sure to explain to the guys about material management, not wasting material or leaving it to get destroyed or in places where it will get stolen. And the jobs that I've tried that on has actually worked out really well. Obviously, there's still like little things that they'll need that I just can't account for on everything. But material management's been an issue for us. You can waste a lot of time managing materials. So, you know, those 3 questions kind of help me organize kind of what I've been saying to them. You know, I've just been telling them, hey, don't wait till tomorrow morning to figure out what you need for tomorrow. Even if it means take an extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of the day, that will probably save them 2 hours at least the next day, instead of just showing up, not having what you need, turning around and leaving to go get that and then come back. You know, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's definitely been something that we've lost a lot of time on, is material management.
Chris,
I see
what
your
up,
hand
buddy?
up.
We're real big on material management. I actually got a 40-foot Connex just for leftover supplies from jobs that we keep, consumable materials that we keep. And we actually tracked it the first year. I did like 6-7 years ago. We actually tracked it the first year and actually logged every time we walked out the door of that Connex with a material and a approximate price of the value of a piece of trim or whatever it was. And you guys were like, oh, why? Because I rent the Connex and it's like $100 a month or something like that. And they're like, why are you doing that? Well, we logged it. We saved $12,000 a year in materials that were left over from jobs that normally get tossed into a dumpster, that I just instructed guys, toss them in the truck and then keep it organized. Part of the problem was, you know, it's not usually organized. And so like, keep it organized. We have a trim section, we have a concrete section, we have an insulation section, we have a tool section, and I now actually have a separate section for all like nail screws, every different type of, you know, nail and screw. We have a different part in the office for that. Just because, and we logged it, and it was $12,000 of trips that we did not make to Home Depot with just leftover stuff. So it made sense to still have that 40-foot Connex full of mostly carpentry related materials. And then now we have a whole nother room full of that I stock with nail screw, all our common stuff, nail screws, everything, hanger nails, whatever it is, that we have, that we actually pick up from a wholesale supplier in bulk. You know, we need them by the thousands.
Nice.
Deck screws, you know, and they're 45% cheaper than what they are at Home Depot, and I buy them by the tens of thousands. And you know, we have a whole room that's literally right over there. So like for that, so yeah, material management is huge, and we save thousands on that because we just devote a good part of the end of the day, end of the week, to keeping that organized in our on-site Connex and our extra storage rooms.
Dude, gold, Chris. Thanks for sharing the gold, man.
What about
$12,000 worth of gold?
What about returns to your suppliers? Like, we have good relationships with them, but they still seem to hate it when we bring stuff back, which I get. But we also keep coming back. So that's kind of how I view it. And I kind of overlook that if we get a little bit of pushback, but.
We return stuff regularly, Jordan, if we don't need it. We typically do that like at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a normal part of our practice, or just like the next time they're going back to the store, they return something.
That's how we train.
Yeah. I don't know if you're asking Chris or just everyone, but.
I'm the same way. We return once a week at the end of the week, because that Connex would be way overflowed if we didn't, and we return $1,000 a week probably in returnable type material pretty easily, and we do that on a regular basis, and my suppliers just get over it. I mean, I just tell them to deal with it. I was like, we buy way too much for you to care about us bringing this, you know, stuff back. I just need you to accept it, and they just get over it.
Cool. All right, guys.
I've told mine, if they don't stop complaining, I'll take it right before they're getting ready to do inventory.
Yeah.
Jokingly.
We gotta put those suppliers in their place. Okay. Any last minute burning fires, desires, questions? Oh, that was good stuff today, guys. Across the board. Okay. Well, if you haven't gotten it yet, that Ultimate Finance boxcar that Bryce put in the chat still there. So make sure to grab a copy of that and just file, make a copy on the Google Doc settings. But yeah, guys, I hope everyone has a great week. Football's back. America. NFL kicks off this weekend. Packers
All
are
right.
playing in Brazil, if anyone was curious. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll end it the way we love to. Each time we'll do the growth on 3. We can't forget you thought we almost did.
Yeah.
So we'll unmute and then 3, 2, 1, grow.
Grow!
Go!